I moved into the house for one reason: peace. No HOA, a big yard, a quiet creek, and freedom to live without someone telling me what color my mailbox must be. I signed the papers, moved in, and felt like I'd finally found the calm I'd been chasing for years. But that calm lasted less than 24 hours, because across the street lived a woman who believed she was the president of the universe. Her name was Karen. I didn't know that yet. But her energy, her attitude, her existence, everything screamed HOA Queen the moment I saw her. The most alarming after I moved in, I was unloading boxes when I heard loud heels approaching. Fast, sharp, irritated heels. I turned, and there she was. Blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, red blazer, and a clipboard clutched like a weapon. She didn't say hello, didn't smile, no welcome to the neighborhood, just...
You can't park that here.
I stared. My driveway? Yes, she said stiffly, pointing at my moving truck.
The HOA has a 30-minute rule regarding moving vehicles.
I blinked. There's no HOA here. Lips curling in a smirk. That's what you think. She walked away like she'd just issued a royal decree. I shook it off, thinking she was just a strange neighbor, annoying, but harmless. I was wrong.
So wrong.
The next morning, I stepped outside with a fresh cup of coffee and nearly dropped it when I saw her standing deep inside my yard. Not near the sidewalk, not brushing the grass. She was inches from my window, holding a measuring tape like she was inspecting a crime scene. "What the hell are you doing?" I demanded. She didn't even look at me, conducting a property compliance check. Standard HOA procedure. "There is no HOA." She finally turned her head and gave me the most condescending smile I'd ever seen. "We're forming one. Until everything is finalized, I'm acting president. Your grass is too long." "I moved in yesterday." She shrugged. "Not my problem." "Oh, it will be," I muttered. She sauntered off with her measuring tape, clicking against her clipboard. 2 days later, she returned, this time dragging a giant roll of paper. Without asking permission, she slapped it across the hood of my car. It was a giant, poorly taped together collage of Google Maps screenshots. "This is the official HOA property overlay," she announced proudly, tapping random areas with a pen. "As you can see, the land behind your house is community property." I ran my fingers along the tape lines. "You printed these off Google. They are provisional documents," she snapped. She rolled it up angrily and stormed off. But things turned serious when I went behind my house to clear fallen branches near the creek. The land sloped gently down to the water. Beautiful, peaceful, perfectly within my deeded boundary. Then I heard rustling and saw her standing across the creek, recording me with her phone.
Don't you move!
She barked. I sighed. "Karen, what now?" "You are trespassing on restricted HOA land," she said, zooming in like she was filming a documentary.
This is my land.
"Stained and very moist of the beach, this way."
It's the border!
"That creek is the border," she insisted. "Everything behind it is HOA green space. That is not how anything works." She glared at me. "I'm calling the authorities."
This is outrageous!
And she actually did. 10 minutes later, 2 officers came knocking. When I opened the door, the older one sighed immediately. "Men with sunglasses, clipboard." I nodded.
Karen.
They followed me to the backyard. Karen was already there, pointing dramatically at me like she was unveiling a villain.
There. He was trespassing minutes ago. Yeah.
The officers walked up and inspected the property stakes. They looked at the creek. They looked at my deed copy. Then they turned to her.
This is his land.
Yeah. Karen's jaw tightened. "No, I'm the acting HOA president." "This neighborhood doesn't have an HOA," the officer replied flatly.
That's not how this works.
Karen demanded they remove me immediately from my own property. One officer looked confused. The other looked tired. They reminded her again that she had no authority and warned her to stop harassing me. She stomped off like a toddler, denied ice cream. But she didn't stop. The next morning I found a bright red voture notice stuffed into my mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a fake HOA fine of $750. I walked straight over to her driveway.
You put this in my mailbox.
It's an official notice, she said smugly.
This is illegal mail tampering.
She froze, then tried to play it cool. It didn't work. 2 days later, I woke up to drilling sounds. A strange man was outside using a metal detector in my yard. "Can I help you?" I asked.
Lady hired me.
"There is no HOA." He packed up and left immediately. Karen came out screaming at both of us.
You're disrupting official HOA procedures.
It was illegal, I shot back. Her face twisted into something feral. "Everything you're doing is illegal, Esley."
It's against the rules.
We'll see,
"We won't for long," she whispered. Her tone sent chills down my spine. The final straw came a week later when I was back near the creek, trimming branches again. I sensed her before I heard her. The stomp of heels, the heavy breathing, the rage radiating off her like heat. She marched toward me, holding a thick binder stuffed with paper.
"Stop right there," she commanded. "I have official HOA documentation proving this is restricted land."
"No, you don't." She thrust the binder into my chest. Inside were dozens of random online HOA templates she'd printed on her home printer. "Karen." I said slowly. "None of this is legally binding. As 5 departments today becomes. It is when filed with the city."
You filed this?
"Oh yes," she said, voice dripping with malicious pride. "Now the authorities will remove you for trespassing." "What authorities?" She pointed dramatically. A police car pulled into my driveway. She grinned like she had just summoned Judgment Day. The officers got out. One was new, tall, serious. The other was Officer Daniels. He looked exhausted. "Karen again." She gasped. "Show some respect. I am an HOA official app." "You're not," he replied.
Arrest him then.
She screamed, pointing at me. "He is invading HOA land." The new officer inspected her binder. His eyebrows slowly climbed.
Preventing approval.
"No," he said calmly. "They're printed from the internet."
They're legal binding.
Officer Daniels leaned toward the new guy and whispered, "She does this every month." The new officer walked the property line. He inspected the stakes, the creek, everything. Then he turned to Karen and delivered the words that changed everything. "Ma'am, you're not only mistaken, you've been trespassing on his property multiple times." Karen blinked rapidly. "No is no, and you placed documents in his mailbox."
Yep. Was an official.
That's a federal offense.
Her face drained of color. "An awful planner organisatie in en hestebithway. Zijn misspook. If you will crash an audience fifolish to him." Karen stumbled backward. No, I'm the president. I run this neighborhood."
Mom, you run nothing.
She let out a strangled, animal-like sound and fled inside her house.
I thought that was the end.
Steve had. But it wasn't, because Karen wasn't finished with me. Not even close. She was preparing something bigger. Something insane. Something that would end with flashing lights, screaming, broken fences, and police officers who weren't shocked anymore. They were ready to put someone in handcuffs. And that someone wasn't me. That's where the real chaos begins. That's where part 2 starts. And trust me, you have no idea how far Karen goes next. Karen disappeared for 3 days after the police warned her. No screaming outside, no measuring tape, no binder full of fake HOA laws. Her blinds stayed shut, her car didn't move, and the street felt strangely peaceful, almost too peaceful. I knew better. Karen wasn't defeated. She was planning. People like her don't stop. They regroup. They build new levels of delusion, and they come back harder. On the 4th night, I woke up around 2:30 a.m. to a strange screech, 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 screech sound. At first, I thought it was an animal in the yard, maybe a raccoon, but the sound wasn't random. It was rhythmic, purposeful, and close. I quietly walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside just enough to look out. My blood ran cold. Karen was in my backyard at 2:30 a.m. wearing gloves, holding wire cutters. She was cutting my fence, slowly, carefully, as if she'd practiced. I stepped outside and flipped on the backyard light. She froze like a guilty raccoon, eyes wide, cutter still in hand. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked. She recovered instantly, straightening herself and pointing at me like I was the intruder. "You're violating HOA boundary regulations." "I'm correcting it. It's my fence. It's illegal," she said. "You're cutting it." Her jaw twitched. "As HOA acting president, I have the right." "You have no rights here." She lifted her chin and said, "I filed a complaint with the city. This entire fence line is unauthorized." I laughed once. "At 2 in the morning?" She pointed the cutters at me like a weapon. "Don't mock me. The HOA community must be protected." "There is no HOA." She flinched, then hissed. "There will be, and you will follow the rules." She took a step toward me. "Or you will be removed." "Removed how?" I asked. But she didn't answer. She ran, literally sprinted, across my yard and through the damaged section of fence, disappearing into the shadows like a feral banshee. I called the police. They showed up. They checked the fence. They checked the footage from my camera. We the damaged section. They shook their heads and told me they'd handle it. But Karen wasn't arrested. Not yet. The next morning felt unreal. I stepped outside and found a brand new fence panel leaning against my porch. A note was taped to it. A temporary HOA enforcement structure must remain. Acting president, I kicked it off the porch. An hour later, I saw her marching toward my yard with a metal post driver and wooden stakes. She hammered one into the ground right at the edge of my driveway. "What are you doing now?" I asked. She hammered louder. "According to the updated plat map, it's common property. You made that plat map on Microsoft Paint." She didn't stop. "You're trespassing." "Again," I said. She ignored me. I pulled out my phone to call the police again, and that finally got her attention. She snatched up her tools and stormed back to her house, shouting over her shoulder, "This is not over." And she meant it. The next day, I discovered she had created a Facebook group called Oak Creek Community HOA, private. Except the neighborhood wasn't named Oak Creek and there was no HOA. She added everyone on the street. She didn't add me. Her first post was a 3-paragraph rant titled, "A new resident is a threat to our community." I laughed when I read it. My neighbors didn't. A man named Dennis from 3 houses down came to my porch holding his phone. "Oh dude, what did you do, Karen?" "Nothing," he sighed. "She's telling everyone you're trying to seize the creek." "That's my yard." "I know," Dennis said. But she's convincing, a little. Mostly loud." Please tell me nobody believes her." He hesitated. "Oh, come on. If she told Mrs. Carter that you were building a dock?" "There is no dock." "If she told the mailers your fence is illegal?" "If she told the Johnson kid you were stealing frogs?" "Stealing frogs?" "Stealing frogs?" Dennis shrugged. She's creative. By evening, I had neighbors glaring at me like I was the villain in a community drama no one asked for. Then Karen made her biggest move yet. I woke up one afternoon to hammering so loud it shook my windows. I looked outside and saw her erecting a full wooden barricade along the creek, on my side. 3 feet tall, jagged, painted with the words, HOA boundary. Do not cross. She was actually building a wall across my yard. I stormed outside. "Karen, stop this right now," she kept hammering. "Leave me alone. The HOA has declared this protected land." "Protected from what?" "From you," she snapped. "Move the wall." "No." I climbed over it, ripped one of the posts right out of the ground, and threw it aside. She screamed, actually screamed. "Assault, property destruction." "Fine. You're fine. It's my yard." She slammed both hands into my chest and shoved me backward. Hard. I stepped forward again. "You do that again." She grabbed her phone. "I'm calling my lawyer." You don't have a lawyer. She paused. I will get one. You can't afford one. That hit her hard. Her face twisted like she was chewing on broken glass. Then she whispered, You'll regret this. I swear. She marched back across the creek like a woman possessed. That night was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes the hair on your arm stand up. At around 11:50 p.m., lights suddenly flooded my yard. Headlights. I looked out and nearly choked. Karen had hired a tow truck. A full-size tow truck. The driver got out and shouted, Which vehicle? She pointed at my car, sitting normally in my driveway. She ordered. The driver frowned. Imam, we need the registered owner. She held up a piece of paper. I'm HOA president. This car has violations. It's his driveway, the driver said. This driveway is HOA property, she insisted. I ran outside, touched my car and I'm suing you. The driver held up his hands. Oh, nope, not worth it. I'm out. He climbed back in his truck and drove away. Karen screamed at him until he was out of the neighborhood. Then she turned to me. You think you won? You think you won. You haven't. I walked closer. Karen, stop. No, she pointed at the creek. That land is mine. It's not. Her voice cracked. It should be. And suddenly I realized something. She wasn't just crazy. She was desperate. I had something she believed belonged to her. Not legally, not morally, but in her mind. Something she convinced herself she controlled. Something she couldn't stand to lose. Her power, her authority, her fantasy HOA. 2 days passed, quiet, calm, disturbingly peaceful. Then came the night everything finally snapped. It was 1:18 a.m. I heard a crash, wood splitting, metal bending. I jumped out of bed and ran to the window. My fence was collapsing. Someone was pulling it down. I grabbed a flashlight and rushed outside. Karen was in the middle of my yard, ripping boards off the fence with her bare hands, panting like she was possessed. Pieces of wood were everywhere. Dirt kicked up, nails scattered. My backyard looked like a war zone. Karen, stop! She didn't. She kept pulling, ripping, tearing. Tears streaked her face. Her hair was wild. Her voice cracked as she screamed, I am taking back what's mine. I had my phone out in seconds. I'm calling the police. She didn't stop, didn't blink, didn't respond. She was fully gone, lost in whatever delusion she'd created. Minutes later, flashing lights filled the yard. 3 police cars. Not 1, not 2, 3. They rushed into the backyard with flashlights raised. Karen didn't even notice them. She was still ripping apart my fence, sobbing, whispering, This is my land. My community, my HOA, mine. Officer Daniel stepped closer. Mom, step away from the property. She didn't. Mom, this is your last warning. She didn't. Then she spun around suddenly and screamed, Arrest him. He's trespassing. Officer Daniel sighed deeply. Mom, he's in his own yard. Karen screamed louder. Oh no, he isn't. This is HOA land. The new officer stepped forward. Ma'am, we've been patient, but this stops tonight. She backed up, eyes wide and wild. You can't arrest me. I'm the president. I'm the president. I make the rules. You don't, he said calmly. She stumbled backward into the broken fence, shaking violently. No, this is my neighborhood. I run it. I decide everything. She tried to run. They caught her in 2 seconds. She kicked. She screamed. She clawed at the ground. I'm the president. You can't do this. We're under arrest, the officer said. For what? She shrieked. For trespassing, for property destruction, for harassment, for filing false reports, for tampering, for everything we warned you about. Karen's voice cracked into a high-pitched cry. This is my HOA. Officer Daniels shook his head. There is no HOA. That sentence broke her. She collapsed completely. They cuffed her, lifted her to her feet, and guided her toward the police car. She kept twisting her head back toward me and screaming, This isn't over. This isn't over. This isn't over. This isn't over. But it was. It was finally over. The officers walked back to me, apologizing for months of chaos. They took photos of the fence, filed reports, and assured me they would handle everything going forward. As they drove away with Karen in the back seat still yelling through the closed windows, a strange peace settled over the yard. The creek sounded softer, the air felt lighter, the neighborhood felt normal again. And for the first time since moving in, I felt like the house was truly mine. Karen never came back. Her house was eventually sold. The new owners, quiet, normal, sane, and the HOA still doesn't exist. But sometimes when the wind is just right, I swear I can hear distant screaming about the violations. Maybe it's just my imagination. Or maybe Karen is somewhere, clipboard in hand, trying to start and show why he is in a prison yard. Either way, my land is finally mine again. And no fake HOA president can ever take that away.